So just now, as we're a little more collected and attentive, I have a question. How long is 1 minute? How long is 1 minute? So that's kind of the question in the air. Be curious. I'm going to demonstrate how long 1 minute is, and it's a very interesting experience. So I'm just going to strike the bell every 10 seconds, going through 1 minute. And I want you to notice, I think, anyway, it's a surprise. Okay, here we go in a moment. We're going to track 1 minute. That is 1 minute. How was that? Is that a little surprising? Did it seem like longer than 1 minute? Anyone? Yes? I'm getting some nods. What is it that makes that 1 minute seem like, significant time? It's not just going by like that. What is it? So I'm asking this question. What is it? Why did that? Yes, sir.
Without the usual chatter and noise in the head, it does seem that time lasts too long. That's what it might sound like. But it just seems like silence takes longer than noise.
That's great. So, yeah, I love that. That should be written down somewhere. Silence takes longer than noise. Right. All right. Anyone else?
But I noticed here that I'll ask the question, and what I'm used to is sometimes before you stop asking the question, they start with the answer. And people here will sit first with the question before the answer.
Oh.
And it seems like it takes a really long time.
Right.
Attention.
Yeah. What?
Attention.
Attention. What about attention?
It makes a minute longer if I'm paying attention to it.
Right.
The reason I'm usually late is because I'm not paying attention. I'm not feeling the time passing because I'm rushing, I'm doing something else, but attention makes it longer.
Attention makes it longer. Right. We're present for the whole minute. We bring that attention to it. Anyone else? Anyone else notice something about that?
Anticipation.
I'm sorry?
Anticipation as to, like, when is it? I don't know, when you were doing it, it's
Yeah.
like, when is it going to be a minute?
Right.
Kind of like an anticipation.
Right. Right. Some people have told me that 10 seconds seems like a long time. That's because it was 10 seconds between the rings. Surprising how long 10 seconds is. But right, anticipation. This is so habitual. We're living, you know, what's next, what's next, what's next. But in the meantime, what's now is the life we're experiencing, right? Are we always kind of a step or two or 10 ahead of ourselves? In that mind state, time zips by, actually. We're not there present in the moment of the aliveness that's going on. You know, it always occurs, experience, any experience. Any noticing of sight, sound, taste, smell, touch, thought. We say kind of the 6 avenues of awareness. Those experiences only can occur, can only be experienced now. Just now. This is where life occurs. Usually we're ahead of ourselves with anticipation, right? Or we're lost in memory and thought, something we're bringing along. That's also occurring just now. It's anything that is noticed, anything that's experienced, is in this fresh, endless moment. This one. This one. Seems very simple, but somehow it really escapes us, so most of the time. And the velocity of life these days, you know, the speediness of our life and so many things calling our attention. I think someone told me it's called the attention economy now. The attention economy. How can our attention be, called forward on our iPhone? All the different things that try and grab our attention, because our attention is precious. It's the most precious thing.
But I would call it more like a distraction economy, because I thought that mindfulness was like paying attention.
Yeah, it is. You pay attention. Right, that's right. Mindfulness is paying attention. That's correct. Yeah.
I don't know how to say it.
But you're talking, you said distraction.
Right.
There's so much that you might say robs our attending to this experience in the moment. There's so many things that distract us, as you're saying. Yeah?
Yeah, because you know how there's so much criticism about, like, there's, in spite of all the technology and all these devices supposedly to communicate, we're communicating less.
Mm.
We're really relating kind of less.
Yeah.
Because we're distracted by these,
Yeah.
by these devices.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is
you see
right.
families sitting at a restaurant, everybody's with their phone.
Everyone's in their phone, and they're not with who they're with. Yeah, we see that a lot.
So, and
Yeah.
you're missing the present moment.
Yeah, the present moment, and likely you're missing the person in front of you or beside you. You know, it's it's costly to our relatedness. All of this rushing and being distracted. Okay, well, I just wanted to play with that. What is 1 minute? Let's see. Could we go around the room and just give your name? And say, give one word, pare it down to one word, kind of what you brought here tonight, what you brought. A wish, expectation, a worry, whatever it might be. You don't have to be specific, but just say that one word. So your name and what you brought in the door. And we could start in the back here.
Fred, and I brought some anxiety.
Anxiety, okay. Everything's okay, doesn't matter what you brought.
Kate, I brought in, on the settling.
Good, good. Yes?
Crystal, brought in some busyness.
Uh-huh. And behind you?
Yeah, Dean, confusion.
Good, Dean. Great. Okay. You, sir?
Brian brought in loss.
Loss. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Rodrigo, being.
Being. Great.
Suzanne, acceptance.
Acceptance. Okay.
Sadness.
What was it?
Sadness.
Sadness. Okay. And behind you?
Karen, doubt.
Doubt. Uh-huh.
Genevieve, concerns.
Okay. Now notice the range here. Notice everyone brought a little something different. Yes, ma'am?
Amy, stress.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel, balance.
Balance. Good.
Jenny, worry.
Worry. Okay.
Paul, skepticism.
Skepticism. Way in the back corner.
Ellery, sleepiness.
I didn't hear it.
Sleepiness.
Okay.
Joe, intention.
Uh-huh.
Lucia, tiredness.
Okay.
Nolan, stress.
Okay. And you, sir?
Gabriel, peripheral glow.
Mm-hmm. And you?
Brendan, worry.
Worry.
Paula, and stress.
Stress. Ma'am?
Seeking refuge.
Mm-hmm.
On and hopeful.
Hopeful.
Eric, awareness.
Good. Okay. So, quite a range. And actually, everything that each person named throughout the room, we've all definitely had that experience also. Like at another time, in another place, we'd bring that in. It's good to be noticing and aware of what we're carrying along, what we bring in. It colors our experience of, we might say, just the freshness, the nakedness of this moment. It's very fresh and naked. I'm going to read a little passage about that, and then we're going to take a break for a moment. Okay? This is Longchenpa, The Basic Space of Phenomena, it's called. Awakened mind, which is really just your attention, your everyday mind. Awakened mind is, by nature, primordially pure. The true nature of phenomena is such that there is nothing to discard or adopt. That's not our usual perspective, and we pick and choose. But with regard to our capacity to experience that present moment awareness, there's nothing to discard or adopt. It just comes along. Nothing that comes or goes, nothing to achieve by trying. Everyone in this room, I guarantee you, including myself, have some sense of being driven by one thing or another, driven by others, driven by our own needs. We're driven, trying, effort. We're out in front of ourselves. Huh? Sounds familiar? Certainly does to me. Rather, the sun and moon of utter lucidity, that's just clarity, of just being able to experience, arise when one rests naturally in the spacious expanse that is the true nature of phenomena. It sounds kind of elaborate, but it's just talking about this, how fresh it is, and how we can encounter it again and again. It's always new. It's not what we expect. I mean, I would just ask, what's the next thought you're going to have? Can we predict that? What's the next thought that's going to come along?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Whatever. Yeah? And Every thought we've ever had our whole life has, you might say, dissolved. We're not carrying all of them. We might have memories, whatever, and they dissolve. We don't hold them very long. They don't stay. Where do they come from? Where do they go? That's to be curious. Where do they come from? Where do they go? Thoughts, one after another. Boom, boom, boom. It's said from that spaciousness, from that freshness, that's ours. It's not something we have to go and find. It's ours. Okay. That's enough of that. Let's take a little break, and we'll come back. We're going to talk a little more directly about relationship, and I'm going to have a couple of questions that we're going to work with, and I think it'll be interesting for you. So, anyone wants to take a little stretch, have a drink, use the bathroom, let's just make it like about 7 minutes, and I'll ring the bell. Okay, now you can. But you all hear what I said, right? Turning to others, concern for others, releases one immediately. It releases you from this enclosure of our self-absorption. It's claustrophobic. And it's habitual, and we're kind of there a lot. So, the way of release, the way out is, noticing that one, noticing that person. Number one, we can know that whatever challenges or troubles we have are shared by everyone around us. Human condition, pretty much consistently the same for everyone. The detail, totally unique. But we all have the three, we call the three poisons: desire, anger, ignorance. So longing, sort of hungry mind for something, anger or aversion, pushing things away, being, in a protest against something. And the third one is, we call it ignorance, but it's just sort of like being asleep on the job. It's like, and people sometimes in their meditation practice will, it's called spiritual bypass. They'll use the meditative state to kind of like back away from their experience or back away from the problems of the day. Let me go to sleep. I mean, cocktails work that way, or other things that alter your mind. We look for an escape. But the interesting thing is coming close to it in the moment. Whatever's going on, it's always manageable just now. It's always manageable this moment and the next. We find our way somehow. Everyone found their way here tonight. So tonglen is characterized as taking and sending on the breath. And it's the fundamental practice, you might say, of a bodhisattva who is stepping out of the world of the me project. I, my, me. I call it the me project. It takes so much energy to sustain this one, protect and promote this one. How am I doing? What's going to happen to me? What can I do? What am I angry about? What do I wish I had that I don't have? The me project. Everyone's familiar with that. So, tonglen is the practice of, you might say, accepting, taking in, absorbing the suffering, the confusion, the challenge another person is having, take it into the spaciousness that we develop. It doesn't come into live in my mind is that I have, because I meditate, I have a little glimpse of this spaciousness, this kind of mirror-like mind. Nothing really sticks to it, but it's alert in the moment. We breathe in and we draw that trouble, that pain, that suffering from another person as we breathe in. And then breathing out, we send out to that person whatever's good, whatever's nourishing, whatever there is in our own experience that is uplifting and light and joyful and happy. Those moments where, all was well with the world. We've all had those. We've all had those. So the practice is one of kind of being in touch with those really good times that we have, how we kind of hold, you might call it the treasure of our experience, right? We give it away. We give it away. We willingly send it. It's not like we lose it. We send it with the out-breath. So who do we work with? Of course, you can work with the whole world. That's kind of a big job. But more personally, more intimately, there's a couple of phrases that bring to mind a specific person or a number of people. And the first phrase I want to offer is, I forgive you. If you hold it, I forgive you, and let it sink in, I forgive you, who is that addressed to in your life experience? I forgive you. Someone who did you wrong, someone, if there's some injury, or maybe they just, made a mistake and it really had impact on you, whatever it might be, I forgive you. This is not just in general, but it's very specific to that person that you can genuinely feel that sense of. It could be really challenging to forgive. And beyond that, to take that individual that comes along when you say, I forgive you, and send them the goodness that is yours, your treasure. Send it to them. I forgive you. Here, have all this good feeling, good fortune, the vitality of my life. Just have this. And breathing in, whatever's troubling you, whatever made you so confused or blind or whatever it might be that was an obstruction, that you damaged me. I had this feeling of being damaged by you. Whatever that is, let me relieve you of that. I'm breathing it in. I'm breathing it in. Not here. I'm breathing it in behind, into the space behind. I'm relieving you of that as I breathe it in. So breathing out for that person that we're willing to, maybe just for the moment, forgive. Or even bit by bit, as we just send that person some of the goodness and actually withdraw, draw from them the negativity, the obstruction, the obstacle. Breathing in and breathing out. I forgive you. So I want you to, have you all identified somebody that comes to mind when you say, I forgive you? Everyone's got that? Someone specific?
I just don't want to state that I forgive someone and feel like I've been hurt by them.
Uh-huh.
I think it's like I've gone to another level with this person. But I've already kind of amended with this person, or made amends.
Yeah,
so
you
that's
could.
Why I don't want to
Right. So maybe that.
I've been hurt by this person.
Maybe that person, maybe it's handled with that person. If you've made amends and it's sort of like you've released it. It's not in your way anymore.
It's my brother, so I love him very much,
Okay.
I feel like he loved me, and that's why.
Okay, that's close to home. That's close to home. So you might try this, what we're going to do now, with your breath, with some sense of sending to your brother this good feeling, this whatever is yours, not made up, your actual experience. Because the good experiences we have in life, we tend to grasp and hold as our, our little personal treasure. And it becomes, again, kind of claustrophobic and building this kind of wall around ourselves. All my treasure, it's mine, I want more of it. No, we're turning the other way. We're actually going in the opposite direction. And whatever that feeling is, send it like to your brother, to whoever it is that you are in the process of forgiveness, and be willing to draw from them the obstacle, the confusion, whatever suffering has made them be, in some way damaging to you. Okay? So let's just get close to your breath. Bring that person up, visualize that person, even the circumstance that this, event or the instance where they injured you. Just bring it up, and in the spirit of I forgive you, with your breath, as you breathe out naturally, you're sending, you're giving away the goodness that you have, that treasure. And as you breathe in, you might say, relieving them of that trouble that made them so crazy, you might say. You're relieving them of that and bringing it into the space, into spaciousness. It doesn't become toxic to you because you can draw it out and bring it into the space. Okay, let's just do that for about 3 minutes. And notice how it actually begins to deepen. Oh, it's also helpful. Breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth. Like kind of pursed lips, like through a straw. You're sending that goodness. And then breathing in through the nose. Try that. See that positive energy land on that person. See it going into them. They're absorbing it. And then draw out the pain. Okay, thank you for being with that. How was that? What kind of resistance did we notice? It's natural that this is the opposite of our usual way. We keep the good stuff and we give away the bad or get rid of it. Now we're drawing the bad stuff and we're giving away the good. It's the opposite. It's natural that we feel some kind of resistance to that. Anyone notice that? Yes? I see nodding heads. Yes. Can you tell me a little more? You don't have to be specific about why you're forgiving someone or whatever, but just like the experience of your own resistance to like doing this.
So this is around my relationship with my mother, which is always kind of full of conflict. Yeah, and I have a lot of resistance in thinking of those experiences as a child. I kind of feel like I already absorbed a negativity, and so then to want to give back this positivity in the life that I built for myself, a lot of resistance to that.
Right, I get that, and because you've absorbed it, but you see you've absorbed it in the midst of those experiences into your identity. Here it's like drawing it out almost into space. You're just like, because you're a meditator, you know the sense of kind of spaciousness. It's not personal. It's not personal. You're relieving your mother of, her confusion or whatever drove her to be that way. Just like that with your breath. But that's a very, very good example. Very good example. Yes, sir.
I assume this is resistance because I'm good at it, but forgiveness isn't the same for me. My pain is mine.
Right.
I don't blame the chair for the pain I feel when I stub my toe, and I've been in places where I was supposed to forgive people, but there was nothing to forgive. It happened. It's over. It's gone.
It sounds spontaneous for you, that you don't hang on to it.
I'm a very unpleasant person. That doesn't sound right. But there are certain people in my life who seem to enjoy being toxic. I've given us some space.
Right.
But technically people have done horrible things to me, but I don't.
Usually when a person does horrible things to another person, they themselves are in some kind of pain or confusion. They're like really off. And that's kind of what you're, the intention, drawing that from them, just drawing it out of them, and sending them all the goodness and good feeling, just sending it towards them. It's a practice that over time it becomes more and more real, and you begin to realize, actually, we find that these challenging people in our lives really are our teachers. They train us up to get beyond our sort of small, protect myself, and everyone else is, they have their own problems, I'm not concerned. It brings us in relationship, brings us out of the enclosure of our self-absorption, basically. So just working with it that way. Okay, I've got one other one related, which is, please forgive me. Please forgive me. So likely, different characters come up, different people in your life. Please forgive me. So as you reflect upon, please forgive me, whoever's foremost for you, where you feel, maybe you've really hurt someone or in some way damaged them. And you want to have their forgiveness. But in the course of that, whether they forgive you or not, you are willing to draw the pain that you inflicted on them, draw that pain out of them into space. Draw it out of them, relieve them of that as you breathe in, and breathing out, send them the goodness, send them that good feeling, send them your best self. So again, please forgive me. Who is that? Identify who that is for you. Specific. Visualize them. You know, have them see them in their environment or see them before you. And breathing in through the nose, just relieve them of, you know, whatever damage you seem to have done to them, or whatever pain that they experienced from you. Please forgive me. And breathing out, sending that person nourishment, goodness, your positive feelings. And just do that for, let's do that for about 3 minutes with the person who you wish to have forgiveness from. So you're benefiting them. You're benefiting them. You're actually in a position to actually make up for or heal or and somehow benefit the very person who in some way you had damaged or hurt. You have that power. Relieve them of that pain and send them the goodness. Give it away. Okay, I mean, it was easier for me to find someone who I wish for their forgiveness. I mean, actually, it's easier for me to see the people that I've damaged than to notice the ones that have damaged me. Anyone else have that sense? Or, yeah? How did it go? Yeah? You found someone? That's interesting to me. Maybe it's just my own experience, but honestly, it was easier to find someone who I would wish would forgive me than someone who's done me harm. It's kind of like you let it go when people...
Not this one. I had a crowd of lots of people.
You had a crowd?
And then they went away, and the only person left to ask forgiveness from me. And I decided, oh, I'm not going to think about this, and I want someone. And I have a question about this that I'd like to ask after.
Well, fine. Go ahead. Ask your question.
Okay. I would like some clarification as to how this is different from, let's be polite and call them the heartless monsters out there, who whenever anything bad happens, rather than actually helping, they say, we're sending our thoughts and prayers.
Right.
I want to see how this is different from casually brushing off other people's problems by thinking nice thoughts at them.
Right. Good. Very good point. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that goes on. So, because you're actually in touch with your own good feelings that you're willing to give away, you're actually willing, you've got to get over that hurdle of like releasing and sending out something that you treasure, and that you're willing to draw in with your breath and draw into the spaciousness that you can glimpse, at least in your meditation practice, draw that from them. So it's you're in an act of engagement. Do you know? It's not the words, it's the activity, and it's drawn from a very attentive mind that you're focused on them, and you're sending and taking with a particular person. So you might not even mention this to someone. I mean, it might be your secret that you're doing this practice, but it's very different. You've experienced it after a while. You begin to get the kind of the depth of it and the impact on your own selfishness. We're all selfish. We're all kind of self-absorbed and just take care of me. And this breaks that down. So it seems like maybe a challenging job, but the fruit of it is it's freeing, it's liberating. It kind of, broadens what is it? Oh, it increases your bandwidth. That's it. It makes you more capable of actually living along with people that maybe do you damage, or others that you've hurt, and you live with it, and you're engaging with it, and you're learning from it. It's training you to be more and more selfless, more and more of what we would call the bodhisattva mind. Bodhisattva mind is that generosity, that goodness for others. Does that make sense?
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually it will. And that's a good point. Because, I mean, we're just getting a brief glimpse of this here. But it's something that you need to practice to actually taste it. Your question?
Actually, maybe something that I'd like to add to your point that might be helpful. And
Good.
might be related, but something that I found that's different from the model in like mindfulness or things that are like Buddhist inspired but still like secular is that you start with the intention of like compassion, but you don't really stop there, because with Buddhism you kind of like have one of the key premises or like the objectives is that you're trying to understand the suffering. And that, in turn, just kind of like encourages the thought of like, how is this really working? Which doesn't really happen in the whole like, oh, I will send you like warm hearts and prayers. You start asking questions. You start asking, why am I hurting?
Yeah, the inquiry. The inquiry is pointing to inquiry, which is a very precious quality that we cultivate.
And there's like levels to it too. Like you start asking, okay, you start with an observation. Like, I mean, I can tell you, like after the talk, I can tell you like books about this stuff, but essentially like you start with an observation, then you start with an identification, then you start with like the roots of this kind of stuff. So like certain stuff and you eventually find out that like just doesn't do you any good. Like you said, like toxic people. Like you can't really understand why that person might be toxic, but there's like a correlation between like, oh, I spent time with this person, it doesn't end well. And eventually you kind of like start having like a sort of system around it. I guess that's one of the main differences that like stands out.
Yeah.
Versus like the whole
Yeah.
prayers kind of thing.
Right, the inquiry aspect, very, very key. Great point. Great point.
Actually, on the forgiveness thing too.
Yeah.
That's actually tied to that point, and thanks for that, because it kind of like got me thinking as well. I found it hard to do like the polar kind of like aspect that you said on like both instances, where it's just like absorbing the bad and then like sending them the good, because it seemed that like I just couldn't make that like bad disappear. So
Right, you draw it into space. Now, how familiar are we are with spaciousness, with just the impersonal aspect of awareness, to draw it into space. It can get pretty, personal if we're not careful. So that's what you want to draw it to.
Yeah, although it was more so the fact that like it came from like an objectivity of it, like because that pain was real.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more of like when I was sending it back, it's like it didn't disappear, it's more like it got transmuted. So it kind of like, I received the pain, but then what I was sending back included that pain, but it included that like compassion element to it. But it was like a different thing.
What you're sending is the compassion and the goodness. Yeah. That's that's your intention. I'm seeing the time. We're 5 minutes after 9. I'm so grateful really, for everyone coming tonight. It's just really, it's so beautiful being with you, and I'm going to be here about 5 more times between now and the end of the year. And I hope you're able to come and enjoy Pawan, who's also a wonderful teacher, and Eve Ekman, fantastic person, very, very skilled, and she and her father are pioneers in the realm of understanding feelings and emotions. Fantastic. So don't miss it. And be well, and find your way home safely.